The following video was made possible by EA Game Changers. Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. I have been really excited to share this build with you all because this is the first build that I made with The Sims 4 Discover University, and I am making a replacement for the penthouse dorms that are in Foxbury University. And with this, I was trying to make something that felt like it was really a part of this building. I didn't want something that looked like a random structure that was just slapped on top of this. I mean, that's fine, but that's really not what I wanted this to look like. So with this, I was trying to kind of follow the shape of the building underneath, kind of get something that felt like it had the same flow to it. I wasn't able to, get it exactly the same, of course, but I was trying to kind of guess like what the grid size for the structure below would be, and I was trying to follow that somewhat. And I think I got something that felt like it had a very similar flow to what is underneath of it. And I also tried to follow the same theme as far as the exterior colors go, which was kind of hard to do because we don't have any wallpapers that are the exact same as the rest of the building. But I just used what was originally there, and that seemed to work out pretty fine, and I'm really happy with how the structure of this came out. I wasn't sure how it was going to look because it was feeling like this very big boxy structure that was all one floor, so I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work with the roofing. It's probably just going to look very plain and bland, but with that whole V-shaped roof thing in the middle, it just looks a bit better. It looks like there's more going on, there's more flow to it, it's not all just flat. I mean, I know that kind of roofing is probably not ideal in real life at all because all the rain would just kind of run into the middle of it, but this is The Sims, so those things don't matter, and I just thought it looked so cool. And then I also added a skylight over on the left side of the building to just break up that large flat roof a little bit. And the only problem was when I was building it, I was not thinking about the floor plan at all, so I had to try to go in here afterwards and figure out what on earth I was gonna do, but I think I got something that worked out pretty well. So the big room in the back is gonna be the bathroom for the building, and then the room that's to the left from this view is going to be kind of like the lounge and kitchenette area, and then the rest of the building is pretty much just dorm rooms. There's this like random closet study room because I ended up with a weird room I didn't know what to do with, and then there's also a laundry area because I thought it'd be kind of fun to play with laundry in a dorm. I mean, it might just end up being annoying, but it is pretty realistic because that is something you do have to deal with in college, and usually dorm buildings do have laundry rooms in them, and you kind of have to deal with like sharing with other people in the building and people sticking weird stuff in the laundry machines. Like I heard stories when I was in college about people sticking things in washers and dryers that you never want stuck in them, and it just caused a huge issue. So for that reason, I am glad I never had to live in a dorm in college, because I did go to a community college first for the first 2 years. So I got an associate's degree, and then I went to university. And the university that I transferred to didn't allow transfers to get on-campus housing, so I missed out on the whole dorm thing. I just ended up having to live off campus in other places. But I did end up spending a lot of time around the dorms anyway because I got a job working for the resident life department's IT help desk, so I had to go around to dorm buildings to help the staff and help students and stuff like that. So I just spent a lot of time going around and seeing all the different buildings. I even worked in the basement of one of the buildings. So I am pretty familiar with how campus dorms are, with how they are, like what they're like, kind of the different types of them. There's the crappier freshman dorms, and then there were the upperclassmen dorms that are a little bit nicer, and then there were on-campus apartments that actually had their own kitchens and everything in them. So it was kind of cool to get to see all of that and kind of learn some of the inner workings of the department. It was actually a really cool job, like probably one of my favorite jobs that I've had. At this point though, the exterior of the build is almost done. There's really not much to it because the actual structure took up most of the space, but I did put some green around it because I noticed that this campus has just this break room grass all over it. There's a lot of other areas where there's just this raised grass, like there's grass on the roof of buildings, so I thought having some grass alongside this would really tie it in with the surroundings. That does mean that there's not really much outdoor space for students. There is that little area in the front there, kind of near where the bridge is, but that's about it, and there wasn't really any room there to do much. And I did also add a few plants in, like I was trying to go through the debug catalog for Discover University to see what there was, and I found these hedges. So I just used them to border the building, and I ended up putting some trees up there, which I thought looked kind of neat. So overall, I thought that worked really well for this building and it gave it this really nice look. But the reason I wanted to make this was because I am planning to use this in my Discover University Let's Play. Because as I've discussed in other videos, I'm going to be using Jonah Fox, who is a sim from some previous series of mine. So if you are new to my channel, you probably don't know who on earth that is. But for the Let's Plays for for my Let's Plays for Get to Work through Cats and Dogs, I did use different generations of the same family. But for the past 3 expansion packs, I haven't been using them. But with this series, I'm going to be going back to that family, so I'm going to be using one of them to go to university with. And I just wanted to build this nice new dorm for them to live in. I thought about just using the dorms for Foxbury that came with the game, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to build my own and make one that's maybe a little bit more fun to play in, that has more going on in it. And plus it was just a cool excuse to make something of my own. And for my Let's Play, I'm thinking we're just going to focus entirely on Jonah Fox. I wasn't really sure whether I was going to do that or not. I actually put a poll up, I think last week on Twitter, kind of gauging what you all thought, because I wasn't sure if we should just purely follow Jonah or follow him and 3 of his friends who are all going to be going to college. But I decided to just stick with following Jonah because I'm worried that if I try to follow 4 different Sims, it's going to get to be a little bit too much because they are friends, but they may end up growing apart and developing new groups. And if that happens with all of them, it's going to get very hard to kind of do all their stories justice. I didn't want to have so many different threads to follow, and I felt like if I tried to do that, someone would get neglected. One Sim's life would be developed more than the other. So I figured the best thing to do was just focus on one Sim and, let him either stay close to his friends from childhood or meet other new people. I felt like it would give us a lot more freedom to really see where things go within the Let's Play. So I'm very excited to start that and kind of see where his college story will take us. And I do want him to go to Foxbury because I'm wanting to focus more on the STEM related things. Because obviously since we're following one STEM, we're not going to be able to cover everything. And as I've discussed before, I do have a STEM degree. That is where my interest lies. So that's really what I'm excited about this pack. That's really what I want to focus on. I'm really excited about all the robotic stuff. So I just want to dig more into that and hopefully get him into the bot savants. And plus, his last name is Fox, so how could I not send him to Foxbury Institute? I was hoping the mascot was going to be a fox, but it's a lobster for whatever reason. But that would make it even more perfect as if that was what the mascot was. But speaking of bot savants, I did also make a university housing building for them because with the dorm system, you're able to set restrictions like gender restrictions, and you're also able to restrict housing for certain groups. You can restrict it for the organizations that come with the campuses or for clubs that you make. So even though there aren't really any sororities or fraternities, you could definitely tell that story yourself by making a club that's one and then making housing for them. But anyway, I'm really excited to learn more about that group. So I decided to just make some housing for the bot savants. So that'll be a video that you see probably tomorrow because I did get into a bit of a building frenzy. So in addition to this build, I made 2 dorm builds or 2 dorm rooms and that other university housing. So my plan is to have one of those dorm rooms up later today. And then tomorrow I'm going to have the other dorm room and the bot savant housing going up. So you'll be seeing quite a few building videos over the next few days. I was just having so much fun making builds with this pack that I just decided to just do that, hold the videos off for a little bit, stockpile up these builds, and then work on getting the videos out. But I gotta say, I am pretty happy with how the housing system in this pack works, because I was really worried they would do something similar to City Living, where each dorm room is like its own apartment, and you can't even change the walls or anything within them. It's just very locked down, but I love how they did it where you can just build your own buildings. It just opens up so much more creativity. There's so many different things you can do. So I am excited to just make a bunch more university housing buildings, but I think before I do that, I'm going to make a community lot because I'm kind of burnt out on furnishing dorm rooms because I made, 6 different dorm rooms for this building, and then I have the 2 that I made for the videos, the standalone videos, and then I made 4 more rooms for the bot savant housing, so I definitely just need a break from furnishing bedrooms, so I'll probably do a community build or 2, and then I'll get back to the housing, because I do want to make housing for Brightchester because I have yet to really do that, although the rooms that I made were in the dorms on Brightchester because I figured it'd be good to do that so it wasn't all Foxbury, but I definitely want to make some more buildings for Brightchester because I love the build items that came for this world. Like, you can just make so many detailed kinds of buildings. So I'm really excited for that, but since we are going to be playing in Foxbury for my Let's Play, I just wanted to focus on making some things for this world. But I was thinking it would be cool to make a replacement for the Brightchester dorms and to maybe also make a housing for just the, what was it, the Art Society, I think it was? Yeah, because there was an Art Society and then there's a debate guild over there. And then I think both universities have spirit squads, and then here we have the bot savants, and I'm blanking on what the other one here was. I think it was like Brainiacs or something along those lines. I had to refresh myself on it, but yeah, there is another kind of organization for Foxbury other than like the Spirit Squad and the Bot Savants. And from what I can tell, the organizations are pretty locked down. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that, but I think unlike clubs, you can't just make another one. Like, there's kind of there's a similar but different system for the organizations versus the clubs. I honestly haven't had much time to really do anything with, with live mode because I've kind of been stuck in build mode since getting the pack. But I'm really looking forward to learning more about how the live mode aspect of this pack works. But something weird, like something I did find weird with the furniture is that desk lamp that came with the pack does not snap to the desks that came with the pack. I mean, it's a desk lamp. You would think it would snap to a desk, but no, it doesn't. So that was something that annoyed me. Like, I wasn't happy that I had to raise up that lamp every time I wanted to use it on a desk. But I mean, it is a pretty nice lamp, and I am glad to have another desk lamp to use in this game. But this is that whole common area I was talking about. So we just have a TV area. We've got a pong table kind of crammed in there, and then there's a little studying area, and then there's a kitchenette. It's very crammed, and I was trying to space things out a little bit, but there was just so much I wanted to put into that area. And we of course can't have stoves in the university housing, so I wasn't able to put that in the kitchen. So as I said, it's more of just a little kitchenette with a microwave and a sink and a refrigerator. So, that's where they could keep their food, and there's a sink they can wash their dishes in. But as you'll see when I start furnishing the rooms, there are some rooms that do have mini fridges in them. So I was kind of thinking of it as a situation where some of them were like, are you kidding me? I am not putting my food near these other people's foods. They don't want anything happening to their food. They don't want anyone taking it, which is something I can definitely empathize with because when I was in college, while I didn't live in a dorm, I did kind of have my own crappy, crowded living situation. I lived in this house with 7 other roommates, and we had one fridge, and there were so many issues that came up with that situation. And we also had a problem with one of the roommates liking to take other people's food. Like, one of my roommates bought a dozen of eggs, and he decided to use 6 of her eggs to make breakfast for him and his girlfriend, and did not ask her at all. He was just like, oh, I thought those were communal eggs, and used them. And then she told him off for it and was like, no, those are my eggs. Like, please do not touch my food at all. Because this guy, like, you couldn't have a rule where you shared, basics like eggs and milk, because this guy would just run away from it. He would just use it up, or he would run away with it. He would just use your food up. He would use more than his fair share of food. He would just take advantage of the situation. So we all had to just be like, we're going to buy our own stuff. Just don't touch something you didn't buy. But this guy did not get that memo. And after we told him off for, using the eggs, he decided to be sneaky and take 1 egg from each container of eggs that was in the fridge, because he thought if he took 1 of each person's eggs, no one would notice, but we noticed. So, like, that I felt was almost worse than the using 6 eggs thing, because he knew and he was trying to cover it up. So it was just like stuff like that was so annoying about the situation. And then there's never enough room in the fridge. So yeah, I could definitely understand, like, just being like, I want my own fridge in my room so I don't have to deal with this crap. But at this point, I am starting on the dorm rooms, and with this dorm, I was trying to not go too over the top as far as detailing the rooms, because I wanted this to be something that you could put into your game and you could be able to customize and use your own imagination with. So rather than going all in on a theme, like saying, oh, this is going to be a jock's dorm and going all out with that theme and running away with it, I decided to just kind of like loosely theme them. So when I was furnishing the rooms, I was like, I could see this as being for an athlete, or, maybe someone who's just really into video games, or, that kind of a thing. Like, I was trying to loosely theme it and add, like, kind of hints of, like, this is the kind of sim this could be for. just so that way it wasn't so locked down. And, you know, if you have a sim who's moving into the dorm, there's maybe multiple rooms you could see your sim using, because I don't like the idea for these kinds of buildings of heavily theming things and then having one room that's basic and being like, okay, this is where you stick your sim. I don't like that. And then I just feel like it doesn't really work as well with the roommate system where everyone's coming in, because like they don't really, you know, they just kind of lock to whatever bed, you know, it doesn't really like take into account things such as their interests. So yeah, I just don't think that makes a lot of sense for these kinds of buildings. But the separate dorm room builds, I think, are going to be where I really go all out with the details. So as I said before, I do have 2 dorm rooms that I just finished as room builds, and with those, I go all out with the detail. I clutter a lot. I have this heavy theming. So I think that kind of way of doing things works best, but who knows? Maybe down the road I'll make one where I just really go all in on the theming for each room. Like that might be something that's good for a Let's Build rather than a speed build like this. Because I have been asked by a few of you to do a dorm Let's Build, so that is something I'm thinking about for when the one I'm going on now wraps up. Because I definitely want to finish that before starting a new one. But something I did want to say is that I know there's like that weird study room, like there's a weird computer room there, but yeah, that's because I was trying to figure out the floor plan and I didn't want to have like a massive dorm room, so I was like, okay, we'll make this other hallway and on one side of it will be the laundry room, and then I was thinking maybe we'd have a second laundry room on that other side, but then I was like, no, that's silly. We don't need 2 of those. But I could not figure out what to do with it. So I thought it worked as kind of a computer lab because, you know, maybe not everyone has a laptop, or maybe you want to use a computer that's connected to the school system, because, I mean, that was a thing when I went to college where I had my own laptop, but there would be some things I actually needed to be on the campus network to do, so I sometimes did need to use library computers for stuff like that. So that's what I was more so seeing that for, or maybe like a room where you want to study and you want to lock yourself away and not know what time of the day it is. You know, you just don't want to care about that, although there is a clock in there, but still. I thought it worked pretty well for that kind of a thing. This room here, I was thinking could be for an artist, but, you know, I didn't go too heavily into that. We just have the easel there, and I stuck that newspaper rug underneath it. I thought that was kind of a fun thing to like pick up paint splatter because, you know, they don't want that getting all over the carpet. But yeah, other than that, there isn't really too much. Well, there is that one sketched wall hanging, but yeah, other than that, I didn't really go too all in on the artist thing. And this one I was thinking kind of loosely felt like maybe a jock storm or an athlete storm, or maybe to someone who's really into Foxbury, you know, like they have a lot of that Foxbury spirit. And I do really like that one figure decoration, because it looks kind of like a pop figure. I just think that's so cute and it works so well for this pack. And a lot of the items from this pack do have kind of an IKEA feel to them. And the beds are pretty cool. The only thing is I wish there were more fun patterns for them, because most of them were in very solid swatches, and I felt like it would have been cool if we had stuff like maybe a big Void Critters bedspread, or just things with more crazy patterns on them, because, you know, those are typically things that people like to personalize a little bit more. But yeah, there wasn't really as much as far as, you know, really crazy personalized bedspreads go. But this dorm is the one that I was actually thinking will probably be Jonah's. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that out. I mean, I think there's other dorm rooms within the building that would work for him, but this is the one that I'm really thinking is going to be his. I think I'd either put him in this one or one of the 2 across the hall, because I don't want him to have one of the single dorms, and I don't want him to have the one that's next to this that's a little bit bigger. You know, I don't want him to have one of the primo dorms. I want him to have the ones that are a little bit more cramped, because I don't want to make his life too easy. You know, he's a freshman. He's got to have that struggle of having the cramped dorm. Although this is definitely a bit bigger than I think real dorms are, because the ones at the college I went to were cramped. This also isn't really that realistic as far as my experience goes, because these dorms are very bright and colorful, but I just wanted to have fun with it, and that was kind of how the original dorm was, so I wanted to follow that. But I mean, dorms are usually like white cinder block, white paint, and then you try to do what you can to customize it within that. You know, like putting posters up, adding your own colorful things up. So maybe down the road, I'll try to make a more realistic dorm where it does have that bland coloring to it. And I think with the Bridechester dorms, when I do that, I'll definitely make them feel a little bit more run down, or maybe I'll make one that feels run down and then one that feels nicer, because that building definitely feels like it's older, so I could see there maybe being some patches of wallpaper missing, or some like things that are kind of falling apart. But either way, we're almost at the end of the building part of the video. I just have this one last room to do. So I think there will be a link to download this in the description. The embargo has lifted, so I am able to upload it to the gallery. If Discover University isn't out yet for you, you should be able to save the build to your library and put it into your game whenever you do get it. But that's going to be it for me, so hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
Something